How was your fourth?
It was exciting.
Yeah, you seem hungover.
Bro, don't even get me started. I don't remember much.
Welcome to this week's CFSL in Shambles podcast.
All right. Well, here we are, guys. Welcome to week 3 in Shambles podcast. We made it through yet another week. A lot of stuff going on around the league. That's what we're going to talk about today. I'm David Ware, middle linebacker for the University of Miami, defensive coordinator. Look, we got a special guest today with us, none other than the Mr. Eric Mears from Nebraska. Tell us about yourself, Mr. Eric.
What's up, big dog?
Glad to
Eric
have you,
Mears.
my friend.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
After that
From the state
win.
of Nebraska. So
And so, Mr. Eric, you're a firefighter, so if you get a call, you're going to have to run a drill. We're not even in football right now, and you have to run drills. How about that? But, hey, glad to have you again, man.
appreciate it.
What's up? You know me. I've been here 2 straight weeks, the wide receiver for the USC Trojans and reigning fan of the year. So welcome to it, week 3. I corrected my drop this week, so no more.
What the heck is on your background there? That is my question.
You didn't hear the news? The Clemson players, 37 of their players got diagnosed with COVID. And
So much for 3-0.
yeah, Dane Jones is one of them.
So I'm
Woo!
going to start. I'm going to start today with a question here. If you had to be one team that was 0-3 to pick it to make the playoffs right now, who would it be? Obviously, I just want to go out there in case people don't know. Michigan's one of them, Bama's another, and LSU's the other. So, go ahead, Eric. You can start this.
I'd say Michigan. Yep. They got a
Really?
squad, man. Mm-hmm.
I
They got a lot of talent. Tim Benjamin's a boss.
Yeah.
Tanner Jones. And you got, I'm really surprised they're 0-3, honestly.
I agree. I don't think I would pick Michigan, but I can understand what you're saying. They do got some named players there. Last week I had no idea who the running back was, and it's mainly because they throw it to him. But
Yeah.
that's why I was like, "Who's the running back?" And then I had to look it up, and I'm like, that's why. So, but what about you, David? Who would you want to be? Whose team? Favorite?
I would like to say LSU, but being in the SEC, man, the SEC is so stacked. It's a bloodbath. Already being 0-3, I think they're too far behind the 8 ball at this point. I'm going to have to go Michigan. Not only do they have a roster that is stacked and ready to compete and right there on the cusp, but they also have the Big Ten, which, yes, you have Texas. You have Oregon, who can be powerful. And you got a few teams, but it's not as dominated and not as clear-cut on who's going to make the playoffs. A team like Nebraska might even slip in still. Who's to say, But I think Michigan's more wide open and available in the Big Ten.
See, I would have stopped at LSU because I do personally think LSU. Not saying that the SEC is not stacked. I just feel like LSU is just like one big play. Like they got a team, and I root for them kind of every week. Not that I root for them, but I'm like, damn, that sucks because their roster's not bad. Bama, we can sit here and say, okay, they didn't have a quarterback for 2 weeks and barely lost last week on the last play. But, I like the Michigan pick. If I were to pick, though, I would probably have stuck with what you said in the beginning with LSU. But what about you, Dorian?
My opinion, I would have to say Michigan as well because –
Jesus Christ. How much pay you guys?
What? If it wasn't for those 3 interceptions and 2 made by no-name safety by the name of Eric Mears, they would have
Just about as many catches as Dorian.
Yeah.
Hey, you actually held on to him though, right?
Damn, son.
Yeah. Didn't you get a touchdown this week?
Yeah, I did.
He put the stick on, that's why.
No,
Well, I mean,
but yeah,
everybody
Michigan.
apparently is transferring to Michigan next year and helping them get out of that. So I guess Dorian, go ahead and lead us into this break here.
All right, guys. So we're gonna head into the break, and we're just gonna have no. We're going into the break.
You have no idea what we're doing? Is this your first day on the job?
I'll tell you what.
I
Tell
think
you what,
Good
guys, we're going to talk about
after.
what?
we're going to talk about some 3-0 teams and 0-3 teams. How about that?
There we
Yeah.
go.
Stay tuned for segment number 2.
All right, so we're talking about teams that are 3-0 and 0-3. So going into this week, I heard a stat where it said the teams who lose in the championship go on to win it the next year, and then I'm like, Notre Dame just screwed that one all up, right? And then Eric, this Notre Dame that we saw this week, who is the real Notre Dame? Is it the first 2 weeks, or is this week the Notre Dame that we're going to have to deal with the rest of the season?
It's got to be the first 2 weeks. They got talent all around them. Man, Asiata, hey, we're going to have a hard time with him, but, he's going to get some headhunters this coming up week. So we're going to kind of exclude this week. Don't judge them for performance this week because they ain't going to be able to help themselves. But man, the first 2 weeks, no doubt. And they're going to be a high-caliber team. They're going to be a team that everybody circles in the schedule saying, man, we got to step up and defend this Asiata guy.
So you think they got a shot possibly to play in the championship this year then?
Absolutely.
I agree. I think they opened a lot of eyes. What do you think, JoJo?
I mean, he beat 8 touchdowns just by Asiata. You know what I mean? And then I think their wide receiver had like 4 touchdowns. It's like
Yeah, another one who had 200 yards.
Yeah, so it's like I remember last year. I was more of a fan. I wasn't a player, and I remember they had this one wide receiver, and I don't know his name, and I'm sorry.
Dijon Swan.
Yeah, him.
Yeah, Swan.
Yep. I mean, he was like the star, and it seems like Gumbus right now is starting to take over that role, and maybe he kind of found his little boy that he's just going to throw to. I mean, if he can average 2 touchdowns a game, 4 touchdowns a game, I mean, that's what Asiata needs. At first, I was worried that Asiata was just kind of going out there and winging it, and now I think they're starting to find their identity.
Now, did Asiata actually play, or did they put Tom Brady in or something? I mean, do we have any fingerprint verification was Asiata? Because the first 2 weeks we didn't see what we saw this week. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Although you didn't see the offensive player of the year, Asiata, for the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It might
definitely.
have
I messed that up. Didn't I? Yeah.
That's why.
Notre Dame is past.
Yeah, that's why I said you expect them to win the championship. Then I got you. I picked you
Right.
up.
I got you.
A
like
firefighter has to pick up
Appreciate
another firefighter.
I appreciate that.
24-hour shift.
Asiata won the offensive player of the year award last year. So when he came in these 2 weeks, I'm like, I think he regressed a bit. But then his week 3 game, I think his old form came back because he's getting more comfortable with his new wide receivers.
Yeah, it's too short of a season to wait to week 3 though. He's gonna have to really step it up and keep his foot on the pedal to keep it going for Notre Dame. But being the Big Ten, I think they're right there in with him, and I think it's going to be exciting to watch what happens in the Big Ten now. I think that just adds a whole other element to games to watch.
Yeah, I mean, just real quick question, and I don't want to debate about it, but do you want this year's Asiata week 3 forward, or do you want last year's Asiata, what you've seen?
Last year's Asiata, what we've seen. Because he was killing it last year.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you on that. So that was just a question I had to ask. But going into my question, Dorian, I got one for you here. Colt Youngblood. Again, I'm talking about LSU. I know I favored them in the last segment. I'm not saying that they're the best. I feel like they're one of those teams that we're not talking about enough. But, you know, Colt Youngblood, I believe, leads the league in rushing. Is this telling us right now that it's a rushing league? Or is it telling us right now that it's a passing league?
I think it's a pass league. I think so. I don't think you can count on your running back all the time to win a game.
I'm gonna just tell you real quick who number 2 is. It's Vito Pepino. Obviously, it's a whole different animal.
Wow.
It's a whole different animal, but I'm just asking.
Pepino is a rare breed because he can run the football and throw the football at the exact same time.
Yeah.
So he's looked good in the passing game and he looks good in running. So I don't think there's anything he can do. He can't do wrong. I mean, he threw an interception, but if you want to beat Texas and Pepino, you need to come up with a huge game plan to contain him.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Sounds like Nebraska's defense is going to be up to the challenge of the season.
What about you, Eric? What are you thinking? Is it a pass league, rush league? What are you thinking?
I think it's a rush league, man. I mean, how many people have 5 defensive backs in the backfield to set that up? And, you know, I wasn't even in the league last year, but they start to change these defenses up. I see a lot of people have the same defense to defend the pass. And next thing you know, how many people have mobile option quarterbacks?
A lot.
That should tell you, speak volumes of what the game plan is.
No offense to anybody in the league.
How many option quarterbacks are good?
I'm talking to Dorian. I apologize. Go ahead.
What'd you say?
Have some respect for our guests. Come on now.
Sorry, when Dorian talks out of line, I have to talk out of line.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna have to come on now. We're gonna have to smack it around a little bit. Come on, get right.
Run. Option quarterbacks, 5 defensive backs in the backfield, almost in every single defense to defend the pass. Everybody's kind of switching up to option pass or option read. I mean, it's run all day.
Yeah, I mean, we see it in Bama, obviously, the triple option. But what do you think, David?
Well, I think Eric is kind of on a point. I think it's more of a passing league, but it is the option passing. You know, it's not just a straight 5-step drop, gunsling it. But it's not a running back league this year. The rushers are the quarterbacks typically, other than that young blood in LSU. He is carrying the weight for LSU, but it's really it's more of a passing league. But the run is opening it up, that option play. I just don't think that triple option's working too well to rely on it. You can't have 5 or 6 passes a game and expect the running game to be open. But the talent so deep on defense, you've got to have a good mix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I guess the debate is still up. It's week 3. We got a few more weeks to really determine a lot of these 0-3 and 3-0 teams. But I guess Eric, just lead us into this next segment.
All right, so the 0-3 are 3-0 teams. I'm asking David, correct?
No.
Oh God.
Pay attention when I speak.
You don't even pay attention when you speak, Joe.
You. No.
In Shape or In Shambles, a segment where we ask the hard questions. Let's find out now who's in shape and who's in shambles.
Okay. So, David, got a question for you about in shape or in shambles. And I want to go with Puma Longtree. Is he in shape or is he in shambles?
I think Puma, right now, he's in shambles. I mean, I think he's fully able to turn around and help carry Oregon, but I don't think he's been that explosiveness that they needed to really help offset their game. I think if he steps it up just a little bit and becomes a little bit more explosive, I think that's when we're going to start seeing the high-scoring, high-powered Oregon offense. And Oregon showed that Texas can be beat this week. They might have took the loss, but they set a roadmap for everybody else to watch. And I think if Puma was just a little bit more explosive, I think Oregon would have won that game. It would have really opened it up. I mean, they got a great defense, but he's got to come out of it. He's got to step it up just a little bit more. It's really important.
Can I ask you something, David, following that?
Sure.
You think him being on special teams so much has to do with something?
I do. I think this year, as we're learning, we're learning what the fatigue comes into play. We've seen several players try to do it. In Michigan, I think is another team that's suffering from the same thing. Tim's not getting the exposure he needs and the playmaking he needs. But, yeah, I think that is having an effect. I think they need to focus him on being the running back that they need him to be.
Appreciate it.
Okay. All right. Yo, Judge, I have a question for you, my man.
Go ahead, my friend.
Adonis Jackson has 1 touchdown and
I
4
love him,
interceptions.
by the way. But go ahead.
Is he in shape or in shambles?
I love him so much that I believe that team easily could be 3-0. We could be talking about them this whole. So I think he in himself.
I mean, what team are you on? I mean, are you working to transfer this year?
I just feel like him personally, he's in shambles, but I do like him. If you want me to be honest with you. But yes, I do think that he is a little bit in shambles. I think they can easily be 3-0. FSU should have had a touchdown last week, but we're not going to talk about that right now. And
No. Eric, what's up?
He said, "What's up?" Go ahead, Eric. Ask your buddy a question over here.
I mean, you don't even get
David
my name
again.
right? How many times have we been doing this now?
Wait, is David asking me?
Listen, okay, I drank so much last night. Like, I don't even know what time it is right now. My day is so effed up.
We're only about 5 hours behind schedule. Get it together.
Yeah.
We're at conversation. So no miracle quite yet. Well, now the question is, does Texas just
So is David asking
You
me,
all blame me.
or am I asking David?
No, you're asking me, my friend.
Okay.
Ambulance response.
Wait,
Fire.
hang on.
Public assist.
That's ambulance, not me. 1 second, guys.
766. Fire. Public assist. Woodstock Condos. 1902. Dartmouth Street. Channel 2. Fire. Public assist. Woodstock Condos. 1902. Dartmouth Street. Channel 2.
Losers. Anyway.
All right. So apparently Eric has to go soon. He may have to go save some kitties.
Right. All right. So in shape or in shambles, David, I got another one for you. And I want to talk about the Michigan defense.
Oh,
You
God.
guys, they got some young bucks over there. They got some elite players, some 5-star players. And I want to know, are they in shape or are they in shambles?
Man, I think they're in shape. I don't think it's their defense that's the issue there. I think it's more consistency in offense. I mean, their defense did a good job in every single game. They've kept them in the game. Yeah, they've gave up some points, but they've played some powerful teams that are going to be shootouts no matter what. And so really, I mean, their defense is stacked, and they're ready to play for a couple of years. So I'm going to give them in shape all the way.
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah, I like
Staying
that.
on the topic of Michigan. Tanner Jones threw 4 interceptions. Is he in shape or in shambles, JoJo?
I mean, 0-3 interceptions.
2 of them went to a safety by the
I don't
name of
care
Eric Mears.
who it went to.
And he's been hit a
Played
few times
against
by
the
somebody.
best defense. The best. You hear that, David?
Oh, woo.
Is he in shape or in shambles?
Completely in shambles. He does it like every week now, so this is what he does. He loses, he throws interceptions, and he hopes for the best.
Hey,
Okay.
if your very first game of the season, you get rocked so many times by a big old linebacker, I mean, what do you expect to do the rest of the season? You see someone coming, you just throw it, man. I'm sorry. I set the precedence.
He should. let's we got a few minutes here, so let's go ahead and skip this in shape and in shambles. We need to head over into the 10 commandments that we talked about for the call out this year. The call out, we got a few more weeks. We got 2 rules right now. You want to go ahead and tell us them, David?
Yeah, so the first one, they can't be someone that's on your team. The second one is they have to play a different position than you. All right, and now we got a third one we're going to bring out this week.
Sorry.
All right, the third one is don't have your phone on when we're doing a podcast. But hey,
But that's the dinner. That's the dinner call.
We're used to professionals around here. Sorry about this, Eric. We'll get it together, okay? Hey, but the third one is they can't be an opponent you just played. So you call somebody out that's not on your team. Don't play your position, and you didn't play him this week. But call somebody out to come join us next week for week 4 in Shambles podcast.
Okay, let's hear this. Oh, Eric.
I'm calling out the Bambi leg, the sliding to avoid a hit, the barely escaped away, Ronald Newman.
Oh, no.
Oh my God. I can't believe I'm sick still.
Hey, boy, look like Willie Mays, man.
Dude, he ran right by me a couple times. Look.
They ain't run by me. Uh-oh. What happened to David?
Bum, 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 bum,
I really think that made a difference. Hey, beat us. If I would have gotten in the backfield, I think we could get insult to injury and bringing him on the show and making me have to relive this loss.
But David, you just had a stroke, so we only got half of that.
It's that.
I was DMing with Newman. He's like, Eric better call me out.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Well, your wish is your command. The Ronald Newman, you better bring me my friggin' jersey you owe me because you gave me my first career sack. As for this week's In Shaper and Shambles, we apologize for the short In Shaper and Shambles this week, but I got days last night. I got to edit till 3 a.m. And Eric, thank you for coming out. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, commissioners. Thank you, David, Dorian, everybody. Just thank everybody. I appreciate you guys watching, helping. Anything is great. If you guys have any ideas out there, hit us up. We're always down to take new ideas. Every week we're trying to change it up. So anything else, guys?
Just one more thing for David.
The U.
Best defense in the league, baby. Right here.
Yeah, the U. Thank you. You finished off what I was saying, the U.